Hi, it's Jim here from the Okanagan Symphony. Welcome back. Welcome to lesson 2. We're going to talk about the valves a little bit. We're going to use the valves a little bit and just check up on one or two things that are left over from last lesson. So first thing is, I hope you've got some notes. You're playing with the mouthpiece centered, more or less up down, more or less side to side, not too much top, not too much bottom. Don't get the red, pink, fleshy part of your lips out of the mouthpiece. All right, keep some skin in there. Like that. I left you were going to alternate between the printed C and the printed G. Hopefully like this. We're going to work within that pair of notes. Now we're going to fill in the blanks essentially. So I would like to play a 5-note scale with the notes that I was just playing. So we'll start down low on the C and work our way up to the G. Follow my fingers. Here we go. So, let's look a little more closely at what I'm doing. You remember the grip is a nice comfortable grip of your left hand. The right hand, because its job is to push valves down, I hook my thumb underneath the lead pipe between the first and second valves. I do know some players who just leave it like this. I don't do that because it kind of interferes with this other thumb. I like it hooked in there. You can tell on my old trumpet because that spot is quite worn out. Anyway, the grip then is like, or as though you're gripping a tennis ball or a hard ball, something about that size, because you want all of your knuckles participating in this valve pushing business. The pinky flies around. It does not go in there unless you're, holding your trumpet and waving at the admiring crowd from a float or whatever it is you might be doing. Keep your pinky out of it. This model of trumpet actually has a little dimple there for you to set your pinky on because that's what most of us do. So, my pinky pretty much flies around when the valves start to really move. Second note in this scale is a D. So we go from C to D. D is 1 and 3, but it's not just 1 and 3. It's 1, 3, and move that third valve slide out. It's out, in my case, probably 1.5 centimeters. If you're thinking in inches, it's probably something like 1/2 inch, maybe 9/16. Okay? That's where it needs to be. The fingering for a D is not 1 and 3. The fingering for a D is 1, 3, and crack that third valve slide. Otherwise, you're just going to get a note that sounds wrong. Listen to this group of notes. It's called an arpeggio. Now listen to it if I don't correct that note. It just sounds wrong. Because it is. 1, 3, crack the slide. That's a D. So, that's the second note. Third note is 1 and 2. Its name is E. We'll go up from the bottom. If you do have the ability to adjust your first valve slide, you can crack a little bit for that E. You don't have to. You'll see me using it, and it's because my brain and hand can't separate the two. I always pretty much crack that E. Now we're going C, D, E, F, and then we'll just open up for the G. Let's try it backwards. G, F, E, D, C. 5 notes is lots for right now. We'll stay between the G and the C. If you find yourself playing higher notes, cool, not today. If you find yourself playing lower notes and you can't get up to the C, or you can make the C but can't quite get up to the G, don't freak out about it. Your muscles are strengthening. They're thinking about it while you sleep. Every day you'll get a little stronger and these notes will come a little more easily. Wind speed helps. Faster air. I find that, I don't know if you know much about aerodynamics, but the reason airplanes fly is the shape of the wing. It creates a low pressure zone on the top of the wing and the airplane rises. We sort of can do the same thing with the tongue inside our mouths. If you arch the tongue up as though you're saying E instead of ah, just do that for a second and feel what your tongue does between ah and E. Ah, E, ah, E. Don't be looking so much at the lips, but be feeling what's happening with your tongue. When you arch your tongue like that, any air that's moving through there will have to move faster. So if you're trying to get up to the G, try saying E. Ah, E. Clearly you don't need your vocal cords, but you get the idea. So, work on that. Again, if you're having trouble, go to the Grumbly Notes page and get yourself playing, because that's the key. The more you play, the stronger you get, the easier it is to play, you get the higher notes and so on. We have these 5 notes now, C, D, E, F, G. That is alphabetical, no surprise. You should hopefully have figured out that the G sounds higher than the C. The G is higher than the C. That's why it's higher on the staff. This whole business of writing out music got its start with people just using a pencil and saying, yeah, this note's a bit higher. And they would make it higher on the page. Got kind of complicated after that, but it's still the same concept. The higher the note is on the page, the higher its pitch is. And for us, the faster the wind is going to have to move to get that note. So, let's make sure that you're not pushing too hard against your chops. Okay? Try to push your lips into the mouthpiece. Try to blow your lips into the mouthpiece rather than pull your trumpet onto your teeth. So, here we go. I am expecting you to play along. So that was C, D, E, F, G. You want to do it one more time? Here we go. All right. Now when you came in today, I was playing the Ode to Joy. It would start, if we were to use that group of notes, it would start on the E, the 1 and 2 note, right in the middle of that. We're going to go up a couple of steps and down. And then it repeats itself almost identically, but ends at the bottom. I'll play it. If you can keep up, great. If you can't, you're going to get a minute. Oops. There was no way the right note was going to come out if I didn't have the right valves pushed down. On the other side of that coin, if you put the right valves down, there is no guarantee that you're going to get the right note. This is why we practice. That's all correct fingerings, but it certainly didn't sound like the same tune, did it? So we have to learn, where is E? Well, one way to figure it out is it's the second lowest 1 and 2 note on the horn. Now I chose this tune because it goes in small steps that are right nearby and stays in our range. I would like you to work on this tune. If this is too much, if your brain is exploding, let's keep it simple. Mary Had a Little Lamb, Three Blind Mice, it's kind of the same thing. It's a 3-note thing. Let's start it also on the E. So, E, D, C. Play that a few times, get yourself used to it. I think you might have noticed that when I put my third valve slide out for the D, I just left it out for the rest of that song because I knew that I was going to keep needing the D and I wasn't going to be playing any other notes that needed that slide to be in, like an E flat, for instance. So, Three Blind Mice. If you want to turn Three Blind Mice into Mary Had a Little Lamb, same group of notes. I'd like you to notice that when I'm pushing my valves up and down, my fingertips are staying pretty much on the keys. They're not flying up like this, and I don't go back to open between each fingering. I don't go. That's just a waste of energy, and it takes time, and it's poor technique. So, that's one thing I hope you noticed. The other thing is that I'm tonguing every single note. And remember, it's the tip of the tongue at the top of the teeth. Ta, 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 or tu, 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 or ti. If you want with Mary Had a Little Lamb, you can reach up. Or just repeat that note. If you need a little extra wind speed, try tonguing a little harder. That might do the job for you. Okay, so Three Blind Mice, Mary Had a Little Lamb, and Ode to Joy. Ode to Joy, by the way, is a piece that Beethoven borrowed from a guy named Schiller and put into the last movement or the last section of his Ninth Symphony. It might be the greatest orchestral work ever written. Kind of depends on who you talk to. It's an amazing piece of music. I highly recommend it. I was supposed to play that in our last symphony concert, but the COVID came and it got canceled. So that's too bad, but I'm going to get back to practicing it now. I did promise to talk about how valves work, where they came from, all that kind of business, but turns out that took way too long. So I'm going to attach a link below or somewhere on the screen so that you can hear all that stuff. You may not be interested in it at all, in which case just click on to lesson 3. I'll call that one lesson 2A or B or something. All right, practice those tunes. See you soon.